Supergirl is a very arrogant, below-average movie. At times, this movie completely fails to understand what makes the comic book work, and other times it actively spits on the creativity of the book it is based on. It is not the awful dumpster fire that a lot of people wanted it to be. However, it definitely manages to feel like a soulless corporate product, because it actually is. The biggest problem is that this movie does not have any identity or personality of its own. At times it feels like a Guardians knockoff, and other times it really wants to remind people that she is Superman's sister. I mean, it has pretty good casting, a great premise, very strong source material. Seriously, if you have not read the book that it is based on, I highly recommend it. This book does a fantastic job at introducing and making you care about who Supergirl is. Unfortunately, however, this movie fails spectacularly at utilizing the source material. It also removes a lot of content from the book just to make space for Lobo, who by the way doesn't add that much value to this movie at all, other than being a cool guy that you can sell on posters. Don't get me wrong, Momoa looks really amazing as Lobo and he seems to be enjoying the shit out of performing this guy. He does do a very good job, at making this guy entertaining. However, story or plot-wise, Lobo doesn't add any value to this movie. Millie Alcock also does a really good job at portraying Supergirl. However, I did expect somebody, a bit more larger and muscular, especially after reading the comic that it is based on. However, despite that, she does a good job with whatever mediocre material that is given to her. Same with Ridley, the actress who plays Ruthye, sidekick of Supergirl in this movie. I think she also does a fine job. Overall, I didn't find any bad performances in this movie other than the villain. The villain sucked major ass, but more about that later in the video. And looking at the reception of this movie, it is not doing well, not critically nor financially, and after watching it, I am not surprised at all. Hell yeah bro, you didn't like the movie? Good, join our club where we make fun of the lead actress all day. We create these shitty AI generated thumbnails and complain about her and women all day. It's amazing. You know what? You didn't like this movie because you're a sexist pig. You have no respect for women. And you don't believe in gender equality. You're not a feminist. That's why you don't like this movie. Can both of you please fuck off? I don't like either of you. Just leave. The plot of this movie is your classic revenge story. Basically, Cram of the Yellow Hills, the villain, kills father of Ruthye, the little girl you see in the trailer. And Ruthye then decides that, you know what, fuck you Cram, I'm gonna come after you and I'm gonna kill you with the same sword that you used to kill my father. The only problem is that Ruthye is 12 and she needs some help. And because of that, she goes to Supergirl and she's like, hey, can you please help me out, kill this guy because I wanna take revenge. And Supergirl initially refuses, she says like, you don't want to go down this path because there's usually nothing but misery at the end of it. But between all of this, Cram also ends up killing Supergirl's dog, and now it is personal for her as well. So then both of them go on this journey chasing Cram, and at the end, they fight Cram. And during this journey, they do a lot of planet hopping. They go from one place to another. And in doing so, we, learn more about them and their bond with each other. And that's about it. Like, it's not that complex of a story. I actually like how simple the premise is, especially in the book. For example, you have a lot of needle drops in this movie, just like Guardians movies, where it's like retro music playing and there's montage or just creating the same vibes. She's also wearing headphones because, Star-Lord wore the headphones. She also does this Marvel-like jokes, a lot of quippy one-liners, even though none of that it is in the comic book. Like in the book, she is fairly serious, even though very rough and outspoken. She's not like jokey-ish person, but she's like that in the movie. Why? Because, Marvel, Guardians characters did it, so, we gotta do it. Same goes with her outfit. So, the long coat she's wearing in poster. So I think almost halfway into the movie, or even longer than that, she doesn't even appear in Supergirl costume. She's just wearing this regular people clothes with this long overcoat. Well, because Guardians has cool guy with long coat, we gotta have that. I mean, in the book she does wear the outfit, but it is only in the first chapter. This movie also puts way more emphasis on Crypto as character compared to the book. In the book, he does get shot by Cram, but then we kind of forget about him till the very end. But this movie plays the Crypto angle way too much, I'm guessing because, Crypto was also in Superman movie and they want to make him more prominent character, I guess. This movie also adds a timer. Basically, because Cram has the antidote, which can help Crypto survive. Unless Supergirl captures him in 3 days, Crypto dies. Which doesn't work at all, right? Because everyone in the audience knows that the dog is not gonna die. So this urgency just feels completely fake. There's also this random shot of like small hamster-like alien bug pooping. That's it. That's the joke here. That haha, it's an alien hamster and it pooped. What the fuck? But we gotta have it, because Guardians has funny moments, so we gotta have it. There are also moments in this movie where they clearly stop the movie for a few seconds. Like Supergirl will do something heroic and then there's literal pause for a while because they thought, this is the moment where audience will come in and they will cheer and clap and it will be amazing. Which look really terrible if your cinema is empty. There were 6 people in my cinema, including me. So whenever there were these random pauses after Supergirl does something heroic, it just feels weird. It's plain weird. And the worst part is that this movie had so little confidence in itself that they had 8 test screenings. How do you end up with 8 test screenings and make changes every single time you get the input? I'm actually surprised that this movie actually managed to be below average rather than absolute complete dumpster fire. Now it feels like a miracle. The poster also feels like a downgrade compared to the comic book cover. Look at this. This is the comic book cover. If I'm in trouble and this woman is next to me, I feel safe. I think that, what, she got me. I don't have to worry about anything. Just look at the confidence and power in her expression, in her pose. Looks fantastic. And see what they did on poster. It's your generic superhero landing pose. Warner Brothers, you have hundreds of or even thousands of absolutely genius creative people working at your disposal, and this is what you approved finally? What is wrong with you? When you go through the pages of comic book, it feels like magic. It is wonderful, colorful, brilliant, creative characters. The lighting, the texturing, it just looks so lovely. Every page feels like this blast of color and magic. And what they did in movie, they turned everything into absolute gray mush. This movie looks so damn ugly and depressing. It feels like, Zack Snyder's Justice League and Guardians of the Galaxy had a baby and this is the movie. Except that the baby got the worst genetics from the both side. At times, this movie is so colorless that if you remove Supergirl's clothes, don't do that. If you remove color from Supergirl's costume, entire movie feels black and white. Like, that is the only portion that feels actually colorful. Which is so disappointing after reading such a beautifully colored comic book. God damn. Another thing I don't like is that marketing-wise, this movie tries to compare Supergirl directly with Superman, which is completely unnecessary. Why do you need to do that? The book did the groundwork. It gave you a fleshed out, interesting character. All you had to do was present it. Why do you have to make it like, oh, Supergirl is different than Superman like this, and she's more edgy and she's cool, haha, she's not like that. No, she is already a well-written, complex character. Just present it as it is. Why do you gotta do this cheap comparison route just for social media buzz? Okay, now I'm gonna go deeper into the story and its criticism. There will be spoilers for comic book and movie both. You're warned. Let's start with Ruthye. I think her character background is changed quite a lot in the movie. Her father is a farmer who farms literal rocks, like they plant and grow rocks. That is creative. And Ruthye also has 7 older brothers. Yeah, like she's the 8th and smallest sibling in the family. And the key part is that after her father is murdered, the brothers, they get together and they have these discussions like, okay, what should we do? They get angry, they upset, are we gonna take the revenge? But eventually the brothers calm down and they decide we can't do anything, let things be, and they will sort themselves out. And this becomes the trigger point. Like, this pisses off Ruthye so much, this little 12, 13-year-old girl, that what is wrong with these people? Why don't they want any revenge? And that's why she gets the final push and she leaves this family behind. Feels like a sacrifice, that she still has a functioning family, but she is so consumed by this fire of revenge that she just leaves. And the one slightly darker moment is that her mother actually catches her while she is escaping from home to take revenge. Despite that, she just lets her go. She's like, okay, you want to go? Do it. which is, kind of dark, letting your kid go on this revenge quest. In the movie, a lot of this depth is gone because Cram just comes in and kills both of her parents and also her brother. She only has one brother. And that's it. Like, she now has nothing to lose and she's upset and she goes on this revenge, which is also, pretty brutal, but it lacks that depth that was in the book. See, what happens is that Krem, when he runs away after shooting Crypto, he actually runs away in Supergirl's spaceship. And because of that, now Supergirl and Ruthye, they have to take this public transport. And I love this idea because it gives you an opportunity to explore more local parts of how these alien lives and worlds function. And if you look into comic book, the design of the spaceship is really amazing. They just took a school bus and modified it to make it look like a spaceship. It has that campiness, fun nature to it. But of course, movie removed that creative part and just made it a generic spaceship. Not just that, but if you look at the panels in comic book, it has a lot of color variety of aliens. You see this little two guys are making out. You got this bird in the cage. You have this creepy big guy with Ruthye and bothering her. It's lots of information about how this world functions locally. In the movie, all of that is gone. It's just like gray, muddy aliens all over, your typical, campy Hollywood relatable aliens. And the saddest part is that when, they're traveling on the space bus, they actually encounter a gigantic space dragon. He's colorful, bright, amazing space dragon, and then Supergirl goes and fights him. Of course, movie completely removed it. They took away the dragon and instead put this useless third-rate teleporting villains. Warner Brothers, what is wrong with you? You made the comic. What the fuck? Just imagine having like live action scene where Supergirl is just flying around this campy looking school bus spaceship with this giant colorful space dragons. It just seems so amazing, right? Just imagining it. But instead we get this black and white, barely visible aliens just teleporting and just punching, grabbing basic stuff. And they did not miss any opportunity to remove creative aspects. Like, see, Supergirl actually goes to Ruth's planet because her powers don't work there. The sun is not compatible with her. And that's why she's just a normal girl instead of Supergirl. And she can get drunk, hammered, and just enjoy some time celebrating her birthday. And because of this, when the space dragon shows up, she doesn't have any powers. And to fix that, she actually just, grabs somebody and asks them to give up their drugs. So turns out in the world of comic book here, there is this drug that people take to numb themselves because the bus ride is so terrible that they have to take drugs to numb themselves out. So Supergirl actually uses that drug to power herself up temporarily and then goes and fights Dragon, which is very interesting, right? You get the world building. It is kind of funny. You get to see more of her nature, how she operates. That is all gone in the movie. In the movie, she just immediately ends up finding sun that is compatible with her. She just gets powerful and just flies around in the space, destroying the spaceship in very black and white sepia tone moment. It's awful. One big thing about the comic book is that there is a lot of planet hopping. Like each chapter, you go and visit a different planet. And the best thing about this planet hopping is that you get to see the damage done by the brigands, the villains, They are sort of space pirates who go from planet to planet and just do a lot of damage to people and loot them. So what book does is rather than directly showing you these pirates being evil, it shows you aftermath of each planet. Every encounter shows something dark or harrowing. For example, there's a planet where a more powerful group just sacrifices less powerful group of people to the brigands, basically committing a large-scale genocide. Then we also see another planet where we follow story of this alien who has been completely handicapped, lost his legs, arms, and everything because of the damage done by brigands. And he also tells this really sad story about him and his friend and how they tried to run away but were not successful. Then there's also this really cool alien. It's gigantic alien that Supergirl meets, and it's such a sad moment where this alien was actually not available on the planet when brigands came in. Like, she is some warrior and she was on another planet fighting. So when she comes back and finds out that her entire planet has been destroyed by brigands, she loses her ability to express herself. She is just emotionally stuck in a lot of pain. And Supergirl just, does so much to help her. She tells her that do it, you can do it, and basically frees her from her pain and allows her to finally move again emotionally and do something. These are surprisingly some of very mature themes explored here. And the best part is that every time you change the planet, you get this really cool different environments. They're just so much fun to look at. Different creature designs, alien designs, and how they function. It's phenomenal. However, in the movie, when they change planets, it's just going from one barren wasteland to another barren wasteland. It is an eyesore to look at. Not just that, but this variety of tragedies are removed with a single one, where you have this group of girls who are being trafficked by brigands, and then Supergirl and Ruthye go and save them. And it is also tied into climax as well, which feels very flat and much weaker in comparison to the creative outburst that comic book has. The worst part is that these girls who are being trafficked, they are not given any time to express themselves. You never get to hear their stories through them or spend any meaningful time with them. It's just non-existent. So that's why when Supergirl kind of saves them at the end, you don't feel anything at all. Okay, now things get much stupider on the movie side. Okay, here's the thing. In the book, there's this really cool, simple chapter. There is a moment where Supergirl and Ruthye, they almost capture Krem of the Yellow Hills. They almost capture him. However, Krem, by this point, has also learned magic. And he has this magic ball that can teleport you whenever. So what Krem does, he throws the magic ball on Supergirl and teleports her to this really toxic planet. The sun is literally toxic to her. It is literally killing her here, and she is basically useless. She falls apart, and it's Ruthye who has to protect her. And it is very simple but effective chapter, where you see, Ruthye finally being badass. And the great thing is that she's not like this, I'm a bad bitch, girl, boss, badass. No, book respects that at the end, it's a 13-year-old little girl, and she is doing everything in her capacity to be brave. And she is brave. She is plenty brave in this chapter. She, manages to kill one of the dinosaurs. Oh, by the way, this planet has really cool dinosaur creatures, that are terrifying and they're going to kill you. So, Ruthye manages to kill one of them, and you can see her desperation that, oh my god, I'm so helpless, but she wants to help Supergirl. She cares so much about her. And at the same time, Supergirl also cares about Ruthye. So, there is a moment where another dinosaur comes in, and Ruthye is unable to protect herself or Supergirl, and despite being completely helpless, Supergirl manages to save Ruthye, just using all of her might and leftover energy. It is such a cute bonding chapter for both of them. Just look at some of the panels where Supergirl is resting with Ruthye and she's so concerned about her. The bond between them is beautiful. There's also really cool foreshadowing in this chapter. We will connect it at the end of the video. So here's the cool thing. See, before Supergirl passes out, she tells Ruthye that no matter what happens, don't go near water because there are scary dinosaurs there and they will kill you. And then Supergirl sort of passes out. But then she wakes up in middle of everything after a while, and now Supergirl herself is desperate for water, and she's like, Ruthye, I have to drink that water, let me go. But Ruthye doesn't let that happen. She protects Supergirl from her own desperation. And at the end, the sun finally changes the direction and they both leave the planet. It's a very simple, beautiful chapter. And then movie takes this chapter and completely destroys it. First of all, the way Supergirl enters this planet in the movie is diabolically stupid. There's this guy who comes up to Supergirl and he's like, hey yo, do you want to find out where Krem is? And Supergirl is like, yeah, sure, I want to find out. So he basically gives her this face mask, basically covers her face with a piece of cloth, and is like, okay, we're gonna take you to Krem, but we cannot let you see the way. So Supergirl just simply agrees to it. What the hell? Not just that, but she also doesn't use her X-ray vision to just see through the piece of cloth anyway. It's just regular piece of cloth covering her face. How is that stopping Supergirl from seeing things? Whatever. So Supergirl, just like a naive little kid, follows the bad guy, and they just then throw her on the green planet. It's like, haha, you're an idiot. We actually tricked you. Now we're gonna put you on this poison planet where there are not even dinosaurs. Yeah, they completely removed dinosaur part from the chapter. if that was not enough, the time Ruthie and Supergirl spend with each other, that is gone. And instead, most of that time is now eaten up by Lobo. Because, we gotta make time for Lobo, cool guy on the poster. Like, the only thing they kept is that here Ruthie also puts up a fight by herself. But now she is spending most of her time talking with Lobo, which is so stupid and completely removes the point of entire chapter. But whatever, it's Warner Brothers. Supergirl internally is very broken up person in the book. She's going through a lot. At the same time, the book makes sure that you understand that she is kind. She's not rude. She's not edgy, but she's rough because, she's been through a lot. There's a moment in the book where Supergirl internally feels so cold that just to feel any kind of warmth, she literally smashes herself into a sun. And then she cuddles flames of that sun just to feel some kind of warmth. It is very sad moment and something that stays with you. There's also another moment where in the final battle with brigands, Supergirl is losing pretty badly and she's gonna just fall down back on the planet she's fighting above. But in middle of falling down, she realizes that if she dies right now, her story will never be told. Because at that point she hadn't told Ruthye anything about her planet or Krypton or anyone. She realizes that she is the only person with the memory of Krypton and what happened at the end. And because of that, she has to live to tell that story because it matters. That is Supergirl and her story. So she does everything in her capacity and she flies back up to fight the brigands again. That's a pretty badass and emotionally moving moment. There's also another moment where she is going on a planet, and I told you about that alien that gets handicapped, loses his arms and legs and stuff like that. So on that planet, there's another alien guy who is struggling to put up all the graves, right? He needs to finish his work by the end of the day, but he's simply unable to. So Supergirl just goes and does his entire work. She helps him put up and prepare all the graves. Not just that, but she helps him find the dead body of his daughter. Because that's what Supergirl is. She's very kind. She wants to help people. She wants to support people. She just has so much care and love in her heart. And all three incidents that I mentioned here, by the way, are completely removed from the movie. It's not even like altered version or anything. No, it's gone. She also never puts Ruthie's life in danger in the book. She always behaves responsibly. However, the movie version deliberately puts Ruthie in danger a couple of times. Sure, she does save her afterwards, but it's just they, in effort to make the movie version look so cool and carefree and amazing, they forgot the fundamentals that made the source material Supergirl so important. There's also another beautiful moment between Supergirl and Ruthye in the comic that they replaced it with a joke, which is just so silly. Ruthye in comic comes from a very rugged family. They are hardworking rock farmer people and they take pride in the hard work they do and the filth that hard work brings, right? They take honor in it. And because of that, she never understood that you're supposed to wash your hands on regular basis. Ruthye does not understand this concept because no one taught her. And the second Supergirl learns about it, rather than laughing at her or being shocked or anything, she just takes Ruthie's hands in her own hands and teaches her how to wash them and use the soap and how the soap functions. It is very simple, and when I'm telling you, you might not find it special, but it is. When you're reading the story and that frames of just washing hands show up, it is heartwarming. Movie, on the other hand, removes the hand washing part and replaces it with a joke. So basically, Supergirl teaches Ruthye how to use a spacesuit, and it's a visual gag. It's not that effective, nothing compared to the hand washing scene. Now, when the destruction of Krypton happens, Supergirl was a teenager in the book, and that is a very pivotal moment in her life. She goes around and she just witnesses all the death and destruction. And the key point here is that she is unable to do anything about it. She looks at a stroller that is covered in this rubble of fallen building, and she willfully chooses to ignore it. She is so terrified of finding a baby inside that she just presumes that, somebody else either saved it or the baby is done for good, like I have no reason to check it. And there are multiple other instances, and it really shapes her as a person. And then Her father manages to save a small portion of Krypton and he builds a dome around it, and there's like a good chunk of population still living there. And after a while, poison starts leaking out from the ground up, and that gives her mother cancer. Actually, not just her mother, but a lot of people. And for that, Supergirl works day and night like a dog. Like, she works so hard to create this metal barrier on the entire floor so the poison doesn't, leak out. She even hurts herself in doing so, but she does not care. All she wants to do is help people and work hard for her planet. And that works for a while, but eventually her father realizes that, this is not enough and there is no way to save this planet anymore. It will fall apart now. And then he forces Supergirl to leave Krypton. Like, you have to go to your brother, otherwise, no one, not a single person will live here. And to say goodbye to her father and leave everything behind, knowing that, all of this will be now destroyed and I'm the only one who survived, it puts a lot of damage on her psyche. It's too much, and you can see reflection of this event in her behavior throughout the whole book. The movie also retells the same story. However, it does not understand what made it special. First of all, in the movie, she is not even born when the destruction happens. So, she never gets to experience that horrors right in front of her eyes. The movie also makes the death of her mother about her mother. Like, the actress who's playing it, like, there's more focus on her rather than the impact of that death on Supergirl. In movie, we also don't get to see her work really hard, putting on those metal plate where she just wants to help her planet. That entire section is completely removed. She just grows up on this new Krypton, her mother dies, which is sad, and then her father is also now dying and says, there's nothing can be done here, you gotta leave. And then he sends her away. You feel absolutely nothing when Supergirl, lives behind her planet in the movie. And then they wonder, like, why doesn't anyone care about Supergirl? Because you didn't give people anything to care about. You removed all the emotional aspects. What else did you expect, movie? I hate this villain. I hate every single thing about this guy. I'm not saying that the comic book version is that amazing. He's fine. He's alright villain, gets the job done. God, but the villain in movie is doctor's. First of all, who passed this visual design? He looks hideous. Who looked at this and thought, let's make this the lead bad guy. What is wrong with you? See, in the book, initially he is a nobody. And while running away from Supergirl, he ends up joining the Brigands, this evil space pirates, and he becomes their gang member and does all the horrible, destructive things. So him rising through ranks and learning magic along the way as well, like, all of that made him interesting. But the movie removes that entire journey. Like, in the movie when he's introduced, he's already leader of the Brigands. And at the end when he dies, he's still the leader of Brigands. His character is completely flat through and through. Doesn't go through any kind of development or journey. On top of that, we have to deal with this third-rate Joker performance. Like, I'm crazy, guys. I'm psycho. I kill kids, guys. I'm crazy. I'm a bad guy. And the irony is that the movie removed the psychopathic elements from the book. See, in the book, do you know why Cram actually kills Ruth's father? Cram basically tells a joke to Ruth's father, but Ruth's father doesn't like that joke. He thinks that it is very crude and unfunny, and Cram shouldn't be making jokes like this. It's not nice. And that pisses him off. His ego is so fragile. He thinks that, oh, this guy's better than me? Yeah, I'm going to show him. And then he kills Ruth's father just for that. The movie didn't do that. In the movie, we just get Cram behaving like Joker. It's like, little girl, I'm going to get you. I'm going to kill you. Villain's bad. I mean, for movie, I still maintain the opinion, that it's below average. If you have not read the comic, you can have an okay time with the movie. But even in that context, the villain is trash. Garbage. So, the final battle in the book is visually very creative. First of all, these are space pirates, right? Their design is cool. But also, they have a literal ship that just flies in the space. That's amazing, right? And that entire ship is covered with this laser cannons, this colorful laser cannons that are very powerful. And in space, then Supergirl and these guys, they fight each other. And it visually looks very striking. It's fun. However, in the movie, it happens on a barren wasteland where everything is gray. It's a pointless planet, just dirt all around, and that's it. That's where the fight happens. It looks ugly, it's very hideous. And here's the fun part in the book. Supergirl actually sort of gets defeated because brigands are just that strong. Book makes a really detailed point. Doesn't matter how strong somebody is, whether it's Superman or Supergirl or whoever, after a while, everyone has their limits, right? Everyone can be worn down with enough force. She gets really exhausted fighting this space pirates and their lasers. And in that moment, they capture her and tie her up with the kryptonite chains, right? And then they're about to shoot her with the kryptonite bullet. So it's at that point when kryptonite enters the game. But the actual fight happens without it, which is refreshing, right? In the movie, however, that doesn't happen. She's just doing your classic kicking and punching and zooming around, which looks okay, but nothing in comparison to what happens in book. And then Cram just pulls out a kryptonite gun and shoots her. And now she's handicapped and she's on her knees and struggling. It's just like kryptonite again. Did it easy. It's lame. A massive downgrade compared to the book. Her entire struggle is gone because she goes from full power fighting to zero in an instant. See, the ending here has really good twist. Supergirl actually lies to Ruthye. Turns out that Krypto was never in danger. Initially, Supergirl tells Ruthye that, hey, I need this antidote to save Krypto because he has been, shot with poison by Krem. That was a lie. Supergirl never needed that. She just used it as an excuse to take Ruthye on journey with her. And Supergirl internally decides that, I'm going to take Ruthye on journey with me. And then eventually when I capture Krem, I will show Ruthye that, people can change or there are better ways to deal with this rather than just taking a plain revenge. Which is far more interesting, right? And it also stops this story from being just a John Wick knockoff. And it actually works. Ruthye, when she gets the opportunity to kill Krem, she is simply unable to do it. Because she has outgrown her pain, her desire for revenge, she is unable to kill him, literally. Like, she beats him up brutally, she even cuts his fingers off and whatnot, but she just cannot do the finishing blow. And the ironic part is that on this journey, actually, Supergirl kind of changed for worse. And she takes a sword from Ruthye and decides to kill Krem instead. And guess what? Ruthye stops her, just like, what happened in that dinosaur planet where she stops Supergirl from drinking water, if you remember. So that was a good foreshadowing, right? So here, Ruthye actually stops Supergirl that, no, you're amazing. You protected me. You showed me, that things can be better. You are amazing and you saved my life. Don't do it. And she stops Supergirl from killing Krem. Nobody does. Instead, they actually take the villain Krem and throw him in some kind of phantom jail where time works differently, but they keep him in that jail for 300 years. And it shows that first 100 years he was under a lot of anger and he didn't budge. Then next 100 he was in agony and pain every single day. He suffered plenty. And then in the final 100 years he reforms and becomes a better member of society and helps people in that phantom jail. The movie does not understand this ending at all, or why is it effective. First of all, in movie, Supergirl never lies. Krypto is actually in danger. So meaning, yes, this movie's basic plot is a John Wick knockoff. Because of that, now Supergirl's motivations are different. Not just that, but in the movie, Ruthye doesn't change as a person. After going on the whole journey, she still just wants to kill Krem. And it's Supergirl who stops her instead. So, it's a bit more cliche Hollywoodish ending, but that's not enough. See, this movie wants to be cool and badass. So it's not that Supergirl just stops Ruthye. Instead, she goes and kills Krem herself, which is the dumbest thing ever. In effort to make Supergirl badass and cool, they didn't let her grow at all as character. And then suddenly movie pretends that, no, now Supergirl has changed and she actually wants to go back to Earth and be with Superman and whatnot. What? Her actions make zero sense at the end. And because she just kills Krem in a lame way, we don't get the cool, phantom prison part, him being tortured and struggling for 300 years. No. The movie Cram just gets off easy. He just gets one stab and boom, he's free. He's dead. However, there is a small scene, I think it lasts for a minute or two in the movie. That is the only moment where this movie actually captures the magic of the book. If you haven't read the book, it might not seem that special to you, but to me, that was a solid scene. See, there's this beautiful song playing in the background, everything goes into slow motion, and entire brigand is attacking Ruthye. And during that, a lot of projectiles are thrown at her, and Supergirl just runs around all over the place and makes sure that nothing hurts Ruthye. The movie does it. It captures that heart it needed. Also, they completely nailed Supergirl and her flying animations and the fight scenes as well. Nothing ever looked fake, nothing ever looks too much wire work has gone behind it. Feels very clean and crunchy. It just sucks, that all of this amazing animations and fun action scenes are covered in soulless gray mush. We also have Superman in the movie, and I think he was great. It just reminded me how much I love David Corenswet as Superman. The ability of this man to bring in so much charm and positivity simply by appearing on screen needs to be studied. And also his cameo is not too much. It fits well into the story. I think at the end, he has a small conversation with Supergirl that was not handled very well. The movie wanted it to be a bit more impactful, but it's not satisfying. And also they shoehorn more crypto jokes, which just feel cliche. But overall, I really enjoyed his cameo in the movie, and he does have good chemistry with Supergirl. And that's what I think of Supergirl. I think it's a movie that could have been so much better, but they rather chose to be a soulless corporate product instead of embracing the creativity of comic book, which is just baffling to me, especially after the success of Superman movie last year. Like, what did they learn from it? Nothing. After the failure of this movie, I really hope they understand that they need to actually respect and embrace the source material and its creativity rather than thinking that, oh no, we're too good for this and we're gonna change it our way and make it better. Remember that scene about Supergirl running herself into the sun? Actually, there is another reason why that felt so much more meaningful to me. It's entirely personal, but one of my favorite album of all time is Melodrama by Lorde. I love that album. You can actually see the poster here, but maybe the lighting is not good. And on that album, there's a song called Liability. And one of the I think the last lyric of the song is, I'm gonna disappear into the sun. And I always felt moved by it every time I heard that song, and seeing similar thing portrayed out in this comic through Supergirl was amazing. I loved it. It was good. Also, thank you very much for the support in last two videos. It has been phenomenal. Channel has crossed 4,000 subscribers. Also, thanks for letting me know that I don't know how to pronounce letter V, because I thought there's no difference in how you pronounce V and we, but I guess there is. The comments are funny regarding that. I appreciate the humor. And this is my accent, and this is how I talk most of the time. It's not gonna change. But jokes aside, seriously, thank you guys. The support lately has been really good on this channel. The algorithm gods have also blessed me 2 times in a row now. God knows what will happen with this video. I just want to keep making this fun videos discussing media with you guys, and I read all of the comments. At least I try. Lately there's so many I cannot keep up. So thank you for watching this video all the way through. It really means a lot to me. I will see you next time. Until then, goodbye, take care, and have some fun with fiction.